Let's welcome back to the show Iowa Congresswoman Dr. Mariannette Miller-Meeks. It's great to have you on, Congresswoman. Okay, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, we keep hearing from Roll Call, from The Hill magazine, from congressional insiders, they could fail next week. Pelosi can't lose more than 3 House Democrat votes here, but 9 moderate House Democrats are saying no. They want infrastructure spending first. They're not going to move on the progressive $3.5 trillion spending bill. I mean, this is a big slap in the face to Nancy Pelosi. What do you say?
Well, I think that if you look at what has happened over the past month and what happened right before we went into the August recess, that certainly is in jeopardy. So remember that it was the moderate Democrats who kept the progressives from being able to have an extension of the eviction moratorium. That Maxine Waters and other progressive Democrats were really pushing for that issue. But as we know, that's an issue that hurts mom and pops. It hurts our local community banks. It hurts our tax base when, the person who, as a landowner, property owner, rents just a simple property, can't pay their property taxes because they've got no income. And so I think you've already seen that there's a fracturing among the Democrat Party between the moderates and the progressives. And I think this is another one of those things. And then when you look at what's happened in Afghanistan, which to me, as a military veteran, it is an unmitigated disaster, tremendous incompetence. And so they now have that issue to deal with at the same time as they've got inflation that continues to increase, a border crisis on the southern border. Then they've got, trying to pass this $1 trillion budget. At the same point in time, they still don't have COVID under control.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned the eviction moratorium. It's unconstitutional. Raising taxes, one party, the Democrat Party, raising taxes without Republicans say so, that's unconstitutional. It's taxation without representation. We got a big Supreme Court fight coming over vaccine passports. New York restaurants, led by restaurants in Staten Island, suing the New York mayor, saying this violates our constitutional rights and unfairly targets them, but not other entities like grocery stores, schools, offices and medical facilities. It doesn't also take into account people have pre-existing conditions and can't take the vaccine. It's unconstitutional. That's what they are saying. And by the way, why should we be listening to Democrat leaders who botch the shutdowns, who allow riots and looting to get out of control, who turned our city streets into skid rows, who didn't help those homeless people get the shelter they need? Why should we listen to them on things like that?
I don't think we should listen to them. And I'm glad that the restaurant owners are suing. And the same thing happened during the pandemic, but people were much more willing to try to help because it was so unknown, COVID too. So, you had essential businesses. Well, what made one business essential and another business not essential? Why was it okay to go into a big box retailer, but not a small mom and pop store in your same neighborhood? Or why was it not okay to go into a restaurant, but it was okay to go into a grocery store? So this is the same issue, and it also doesn't address those people who have immunity because they had the disease. So I think that there does appear to me, I'm not a lawyer, but there does appear to me to be grounds that this would be the basis of unconstitutionality. And maybe one of the things they should do is to start doing antibody testing. If you have antibody testing, it shows that you have immunity and you're at low risk, number one, for contracting COVID-19, and also at low risk for transmitting it because you don't get ill from the virus.
They don't have mandates like this in Europe. Well, I hear you. They don't have mandates like this in Europe or the UK. France has been doing free antibody testing in their pharmacies for a year. Why don't we do that here instead of pushing booster shots on people where we don't even know about the heart inflammation, for example, from the Moderna shot for young people? I mean, that's an issue. People have serious concerns. We get it. And you know what? People are sick and tired. They're not listening to regular Americans who have, the folks out there have had to put up with this. I mean, now Google had censored Republican Congressman Nicole Malliotakis talking about the lawsuit that restaurants are bringing against vaccine passports. That's outrageous.
I think that's where people's frustration lies, and I think you hit the nail on the head. We do have a constitution. We have a right to free speech. We have a right to to associate with other individuals. And right now, people don't feel like they're being listened to. They don't feel their concerns are being attended to. They're looking for data. They're looking for information. It's deplatformed. It's canceled. It's censored. I mean, to be able to, even as doctors, to have a discussion on social media sites and social media platforms, we've seen physicians removed off sites. And, science, as we've talked about before, is an exchange of debate. It's an exchange of information. It's a give and take. And without that, we're never going to get to the point where we can actually have this debate. And I think, Dr. McCary has brought this up before in talking about children and vaccines in children and what's the death rate of children who contract COVID-19. So certainly this is a serious virus. We're all concerned. We all want to see it go away. But we need appropriate information. We need appropriate messaging. And we need to allow people to make decisions based on the appropriate information. We can protect one another, but we can also have the freedom to make decisions on the basis of the information that we have, rather than the guidance we've got from CDC and from the FDA, which has been, variable information. And I think you're right. People are concerned, young people are concerned because of the risk of myocarditis with the vaccine. Yes, there's a risk from COVID-19, but there's also a risk from the vaccine, and we need better information from the CDC.
Congressman Mariannette Miller-Meeks, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you. We're coming into the bottom of the hour.